About 9 years ago, I was going through a state of depression and severe existential crisis. I had just graduated and received a degree that was no more than paperweight, had no career prospects, and failed twice in the exams I took for getting into higher studies. I was living a life of seclusion, not meeting anybody, and it felt like none of the things that once used to make me happy made me happy anymore. It felt like the best that life had to offer was already in the past, and I was merely a husk of my former self. Like the feelings that I'll feel from this point on would merely be shallow imitations of what I had already felt before. And feeling this way consistently over weeks and months led me to go into a state of existential dread, just that I didn't know what it was called at that time. I started to question life. What's the point of doing anything when one day we're all going to inevitably end up at the same place, dead? That one day, a few generations later, someone will remember me for the last time and I'll be gone forever, as if never having existed at all. These lingering thoughts led me down a rabbit hole of despair and hopelessness, which at that time felt like where I belonged. After a string of personal and academic failures, I resorted to living a life of quiet desperation, accepting life as it is with no hope of things actually getting better. Well, the good news is that life did get better, and I was able to get out of the hole that I once had dug myself into. And as silly as it might sound to many of you, my journey of recovery and healing started with not having a grand epiphany or reaching a state of enlightenment. It happened when I started playing this game. But let's come back to the Dark Souls story later in the video. I'm pretty sure you're eager for me to reveal what the two depressing realizations are. Well, it's that one, nobody cares, and two, we're all gonna die. Yeah, pretty depressing. Don't take the first one too literally, because obviously some people do care about you. But most people, the 99.9999% of the population, don't. They really don't. This existential contemplation did get to me at first. But over the following few years, I realized how freeing the notion was. In this vast world teeming with billions of lives, we often find ourselves confused and lost in a sea of insignificance. We desperately seek validation, longing for someone to acknowledge our existence. And it's normal. Hundreds and thousands of years of evolution has coded this feature, our desire for acceptance, in our DNA, because throughout our entire existence as a species, we needed to be accepted by our tribe to survive. Desiring validation, connection, and acceptance is being human. We're all social animals after all. The problem, however, arises when we base our entire life and our self-worth on the opinion of others. Because when we do that, we inevitably end up losing our authenticity, something that makes us, an individual, a complete being with our own perspective on life, our own thoughts, desires, dreams, and ambitions. Even though we don't live in tribalistic societies anymore, our desire to belong hasn't really faded. Thousands of years of evolution versus maybe 100 years of modern society. You do the math. The desire to fit in and be accepted by those around us could be harmful if it's left unchecked. It could lead you to engage in activities that you don't really like, act a certain way, or adopt a certain political or religious affiliation that are not aligned with your core values. The reason tying your sense of self-worth to what others may think of you is so harmful is because they aren't really thinking about you, like at all. Most people are busy living their own lives and dealing with problems like we do. Most people are not vengeful, manipulative, or trying to keep you wrapped around their fingers. Like, they simply don't care. And when you subconsciously give those people the power to validate you, tell you what you're worth, you're just making things harder for yourself. Because there will come a time when you'll fail to live up to their expectations, which will ruin the most prominent image you have of yourself. Self-worth is not something that is given. It's something we have to cultivate and decide for ourselves. By acknowledging this profound truth, we liberate ourselves from the shackles of societal expectations. We become the architects of our own destinies, free to pursue our passions and dreams without the need of any external approval. Nobody cares about you. It's terrifying, but it's also a good thing. You know what the other good thing is? It's that none of this really matters because we're all gonna die someday. As the famous French philosopher and serial partygoer once said, if there's a sin against life, it consists perhaps of not so much in despairing of life as in hoping for another life and in eluding the implacable grandeur of this life. Those are too many lives in one sentence, but ignore that. It means if you fuck around doing nothing because of the promise of an eternal afterlife, you'll miss out on all the good stuff that this one has to offer. Albert Camus, famous for his philosophy of absurdism, believed that life has no inherent meaning and that the universe is indifferent to our existence. That is what he referred to as the absurd. However, he urged everyone that despite this absurdity, we must find meaning and purpose through our actions and connection with others. That we must rebel against the meaninglessness and create our own values instead of giving in to the allure of nihilism. Because for as long as we're here, we might as well make the most of it. Because the only other alternative is ending ourselves. We came here with nothing and we leave the same way. And this vast, indifferent universe will keep on existing as it has been for millennia. Okay, let me come back to my story of playing Dark Souls now. I started playing this game at a time when I was depressed and thought I had lost interest in gaming forever. Gaming and many other things. The reason I started playing is because I had heard how hard it was and I honestly wanted to give it a try myself. And it didn't take long before I got completely hooked. After quitting a dozen games before because they failed to hold my interest, this one felt like a breath of fresh air. Like everyone else, I died. Again and again and again. But those deaths taught me how to persevere and do better. I took action and it made me feel good. It made me feel like my choices matter, that I matter. Now that I think about it, playing Dark Souls was in a way my act of rebellion against the absurdity of life. When nothing was going my way and I had lost all hope, playing this game for a couple of hours every day gave me that sense of progress that was missing from my life, as absurd as it may sound. And it turns out that's all I needed to get myself out of that rut, that sense of accomplishment, albeit in a virtual world. This insanely hard game that's the cause of frustration, tears, and many broken controllers turned out to be my savior. I'm not even exaggerating. Many others have had the same experiences. Just go look it up. Type Dark Souls saved my life and see how many videos come up. Now, I'm not going to go deeper into this topic and start drawing parallels between life and Dark Souls because God knows I won't shut up about it. So, to end this video, all I'm going to say is this. Instead of worrying about what other people think or waiting for the right time to do something, do it now. Instead of trying to find a meaning in a largely meaningless world, embrace it and use it as a reason to live life to the fullest. If you're in a bad space mentally, do something rather than nothing. Go and play Dark Souls if you have to. Go for a walk, get some sunshine, arrange your closet, do the dishes, take action, and do whatever it takes to bring that sense of progress and accomplishment back in your life. Because the world doesn't wait, and the future isn't guaranteed to anyone. Like, comment, subscribe, and send this video to a friend if you think it's helpful. I appreciate you all for watching till the end. See ya.